Let me share my screen. Tell you what.
All right, I got it to work, guys. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Just trying to get this set up the best way I can here.
How's everybody doing, guys?
J Money.
Yes, there he is. Unmute, sir. Unmute.
What's good?
You're good. You're great.
How did you create the Space Monkey AI profile?
Say it one more time.
How did you create this AI profile?
The AI profile. He
Uh,
thinks you're AI.
I'm not. Which? Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, Sarang. If I told you, I'd have to shoot you. Kill you. DM me. My DMs are open, like they say. Sarang is always. He always has jokes, especially in the mornings. He's ready to go.
It's afternoon our time, right? Digesting the food.
Yeah, yeah. It's details, Sarang. Details.
I can't see the pizza from Germany. Drinking coffee.
I love
Are
a
we
little
doing WAP
morning
today?
bashing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hit the all one.
Okay. Let me get
Morning,
that going.
John.
Good morning. Good morning. How's it going, everyone?
Hey, what's up, beautiful?
It's good morning to you, or good evening, as you say to Sarang.
Oh goodness, it looks so early over there.
It is early, as you can tell with the morning voice is just clicking in.
I gotta give it to you. You're very brave turning on the camera this early.
I know. Still managed to look this cute, huh? Not bad.
Oh, very cute. Very, very cute.
All right.
Not in that way. You know, we're cool, but not that cool.
Yeah.
I gotta pay attention today. We're live in a few places. I have to keep it.
Yeah, no
pro.
hitting on me until at least 5 p.m. Spanish time.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's get through the opening hour.
All right. WAP is up. Let's get you guys in there.
What do you do?
WAP, WAP.
How's it going, MP? What's good? Over here, not a whole lot, friend. Not a whole lot. Getting ready and excited for the day. Had some great setups today.
All right, what time we got? 9 o'clock. Are we ready? Feeling good? Money?
Feel good.
Shall we get started?
Yeah, I'm ready to start. Let's do that. We can talk about ES overnight. We've seen this just an extreme trend move. Really Friday, Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday. That continued overnight. We cleared yesterday's highs for continuation overnight. So on SPX, we're trading right around 68, 65 or so right now, and as long as we're above 68.50 on SPX, then I think that we can kind of consolidate above 68.50 and try for continuation higher. And really, there's no reason to look to short this until we see a true change in character. I know it's extremely, quote unquote extended. It's gone too far. It has to pull back. But really, I think it's best to just stick with the trend for now and continue to look to buy dips when we get them. So 68.50 I think will be important. And also just from the gamma landscape, we're set to open in a supportive dealer environment. And we know whenever we open in those, we can see strong moves on the open. And as long as we're above 68.50, I would expect dips to be bought, and we can try for continuation higher above the overnight high, which is right around 68.75. So potentially for the morning session, range 68.50 to 68.75, and then we need to clear 68.75 for continuation up. And really not interested in looking to short this unless we fail under 68.50.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. So, Matei, you want to run through some gamma, as the gamma landscape, and then you can maybe get into some individual names too, some of the top ups.
Yeah, of course. So Jay Money kind of covered it as well, but it's just what's important to note today is if we stay in that supportive area, we can just continue to trend. There is some negative gamma and thin gamma, which basically could just give us freedom to move. There's a pretty large position around 69.20 that if we stay in that supportive environment, that could act as a pull and a bit of a magnet higher. So for me, I think that lines up with what we're seeing with the technicals that Jay Money just went over. If we hold that 68.40 area, 50 area on S&P, that defends with how we've been seeing the price action over the last couple of days. We could very well trend higher and push into that 6,900 spot.
Awesome. All right. Are there any setups out there that you're liking?
Yeah, so as far as like top focus today, I think we've got a nice response from AMD and NVIDIA from the Foxconn earnings. So that's, I think, stealing the show today. AMD in particular looks a bit better than NVIDIA, and it's not too surprising. It's been leading pretty much the last several months compared to NVIDIA. So on the higher time frame, we broke a bit of structure, and then we've reclaimed or held well at 227, and we're trying to reclaim 252, which is a very big spot. When we look at the pre-market variables, we have some really nice trending structure right now. So this is set up for an opening drive and push higher. The R-vol is elevated almost, and it's actually building into the open, which is a positive sign. So we are a little warm. Jay Money, if you have anything else to add with the RSI on that, it's not like overly hot, but it's not. It's also not like super bullish, I would say. Do you have any extra thoughts on that?
Yeah, let me check real quick.
Cool. So basically, we're just looking at that 252.30 level to hold right on the open.
Right.
Yeah, it's mostly neutral. It's a little extended, but it's trying to reset enough here. You don't have any true divergence, but it is trying to reset a little bit here on this pre-market dip.
Yep. So this could play out in a couple ways. Often we'll get these. I would say the most bullish way that this could set up is if we get a little bit of a sweep and turn. That we've seen work really nicely for opening drive plays, especially when the RSI is a little bit more neutral or extended compared to very bullish. It's very bullish. You can get more aggressive with right on the open, kind of like what we've seen in the past couple of sessions with a few different names. So PLTR, for example, or even Apple, I think that was a couple days ago, saw something similar. So moral of the story here is I wouldn't be too aggressive with the opening drive. It can work based on the structure, but if this is going to play out well today, I think it'll trend and there'll be more than one opportunity to get long. So that's, I'm going to be watching these pretty closely. And then just in general, we have Google from yesterday. Very curious to see how this responds to 91. If we get a back test there, or if we avoid a back test and push through the pre-market highs, this is set up for a move to 300. So already positioned. I probably won't add anything right off the open, but we'll see how it goes and go from there. That's it from me.
Cool. Yeah, I really like AMD's looking good, and Google as well. Obviously, just showing some real nice relative strength. AMD, there's some fundamentals there as well on the back of some of the news that came out yesterday from the event that they had, and so that one is running really nicely today. So, and also recovering the 20 and the 9-day moving average, which acted as resistance over the last couple of days here. So we're also making some like technical strides to the upside as well. So let's see if it can hold the gains. It's up quite significantly, and so I'll kind of follow your cues as the market opens, and we'll see. But I really like AMD. Aside from that, I think another kind of name within the semi space, Nvidia. Right, Nvidia's looking good. I think it might not do what I think it could do today, but it's still one of those where I want to still watch it, right? And so I'm seeing some resistance around 196, 197. But if we can get back above that, I think we could tag that 200 before the end of the week. I'm hoping to see like some relative strength maybe in this one, as long as we're holding above 195.50 or 70 rather. Sorry, we could see a push higher. So Nvidia, a little bit of a side watch, obviously. Another one is Netflix. Netflix was quite weak a few weeks ago, and earnings obviously did not help it. But that gap down has now become an attractive kind of possibility of a gap fill to the upside. So what I want to see here is if we could push higher today, at least towards that 1160. 1160 is important because that's the entry for that gap, and with that comes resistance. But if we can move above 1160, a few things would have happened on the daily. So yesterday's close was important because it was a recovery of the 200-day moving average. It was a recovery of the low on the daily chart of October 2nd of this year. And so we're kind of working on a little bit of a failed breakdown here. There's another low I'm watching, which is August 5th of 2025, which you remember was quite a turning point after a big drop lower in the indices and stuff. So if you can recover that around 1145, I would say we have a pretty great shot at filling that gap and pushing towards 1200. So that's Netflix. I think there's something there. It's just showing some nice strength here. Just watching continuation above yesterday's highs, basically. Aside from that, PLTR continues to be interesting to me as well. There's been some real nice strength in software names. PLTR is obviously, there's a lot of focus on PLTR because it being, quote unquote, overvalued, but it's become a focus together with NVIDIA regarding the AI play being too frothy and whatnot. But all I'm seeing here is that we're holding really nicely some interesting levels. The 50-day held a few days ago. We're seeing us moving back towards that 190, 193 range was quite a range of some substantial kind of selling into it. And then once we flipped that into support, we saw that new all-time highs, right? Now earnings pushed us lower, but we're coming back quite quickly here. So for me, that's interesting. A move above 195 196 on PLTR. We could see 200 there as well. So pretty interesting to me. One name that is a little bit outside of, I guess, many's purview would be Lemonade. Nice little find here, Mate. The daily just shows a beautiful bullish pennant, right? And this one, remember, had a nice little gap up and go off of earnings. It pulled back, held the 9-day moving average around 70 or so, protecting the gap below, protecting that range that it was trading in for quite some time, since like the beginning of August. We spent a month and a half, almost 2 months in this like 64 to 45 range. And then once we broke out, we've held up really nicely. So for me, with this one, it's a matter of just continuation. Watch 80 calls above 79.74. Apple looks good. It's been looking good for a few days here, I would say. And the only problem with that is that it's been kind of faking out quite a lot. I took a few shots at it. It helps for me. It's been really tricky to really catch it, but we're still hovering below all-time high. So for me, that's still interesting. Yesterday's close was very bullish. We're seeing an open, flat open just below yesterday's high. So break of yesterday's highs should see all-time highs, which is around 277.32. So this one as well, right? Remember, it gapped up on earnings. They sold into it. It held the upside trend very nicely. Now coming back nicely. So that is Apple. We got a few more here, guys. Eli Lilly. Keep an eye on 1,000 Eli Lilly. Not a whole lot more to say. I traded the 1,000 calls yesterday. This one just moved into that 1,000 beautifully. So really nice kind of move. And we'll keep watching that continuation move.
I just want to
On
call
the daily.
out. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I thought you were going to go on. I was just going to say the RSI is very reset on both the hourly and 30-minute here. So it has energy if it gets through 1,000. I talked about what to look for reversion on the daily market recap last night in a little bit more depth, which I won't get into that now, but this could be very interesting through 1,000 for sure.
Okay. You switched your screen on Discord. We can't see your charts anymore.
Oh, my bad. I got you.
From Twitter message.
Also, there is a big echo on the WAP stream whenever you're. Yeah.
Don't know how to fix that one. I saw that. If you have ideas, let me know.
Okay. Sorry, just lost my track of thought.
You were on Eli Lilly daily. Or you had mentioned the daily before I.
So the 1,000 is just keep an eye on that 1,000 level. That should work beautifully for continuation. I think it's going to be hard to break through, but there's enough momentum there that we could see push higher. The next one's Spot. This one I noticed end of day yesterday, but I had a really significant day, I would say. It recovered an important day, the July 30th low. And so that was the low of that earnings move lower. It recovered it yesterday nicely. And so for me, this is an active failed breakdown here. That is, it's prudent to watch the continuation move. The problem I have with Spot is it's a little tricky. It's a little finicky, wide spreads. But when it moves, if you catch it on that day where it actually expands its range, it's a pretty good trade. But because it's a failed breakdown here, I'm interested in continuation. Watch yesterday's highs. Should move fairly quickly into that 652 area, which is the 200-day moving average. And so for me, that's something to watch. A little bit more of a secondary watch for me, but nonetheless, I have an alert. If I see it moving, I'll call it out for everybody. Two more names. GS. Banks have been strong. We've been talking about banks. We've been talking about GS. We've been talking about BAC. We're talking about some of the other ones, JPM. GS seems to be like the leader within this group, and it makes sense to me. Watch yesterday's highs. Now we're above it, so how do you trade it? You watch yesterday's highs to hold. If it does, or if it dips below and recovers, for me, that's a trigger for a potential move higher. All-time high is not too far away. It's about 10 points higher. So keep an eye on those 825 above 811. And lastly, here, probably one of the better setups, I think. If you look at the daily, if you look on the weekly, couple layers of information I can share with everybody. The first one is this one moved lower on earnings. It gapped down on earnings and recovered the gap within the same day. That's what I call an offside play. For me, that is a continuation kind of watch, right? And the second day after that, which was the October 24th, we saw that continuation. We broke new all-time highs, and we have since just kind of been flagging on the daily, right? We saw an attempt to break higher a couple of days ago, pull back into that flag trend line as a back test and held. And now yesterday was that one day where we started pushing higher again. For today, watch the all-time high around 320. 320 breaks. I like 330 calls for a push higher, especially if there's strength, within this like information technology and services sector. So that is the last name I have to share with everybody. And with that, Sarang, let us know what you're watching today, please. And meanwhile, members, please type in some individual names that you guys are watching. I'll take a look at them once Sarang is done.
Thank you, Space Monkey. So I think maybe once I'm done, you can cover crowd. That's your favorite inside the setup. Okay, so I'm watching, I think, AMD and IBM. So I think AMD might cover very nicely. But I prefer to wait 5 minutes on AMD. If I get the deep around, let's say 247 and 248 area, and trap and quickly reclaim 250, I like to take an entry on AMD at the open. But I think I don't want to trade the breakout, maybe 253 at the open. So we'll wait for 5 minutes candle to close, and then we'll take an entry above that one. That's the plan for AMD for me. And second one, I think IBM, I really like the news. So what I'm looking is 319.35 was the previous all-time high. So it's like backtesting yesterday's high around 317 area. So if at open, if we reclaim around 320, so I'll be looking to play the calls on IBM at open. So I like the news, and the stock is trading above all-time high. So yeah, so I like IBM better. And for downside, I like NBIS. So NBIS, I'm looking for two trade, like 105 to 106 area reject and move lower. Then we can target maybe 100, and below that maybe 95 or 88 to 90 area, which is the previous all-time high. So 100 area is being tested multiple times on daily time frame on NBIS. And yeah, so if we break that one, I think I don't see much of structure support till let's say 95, and below 95 we are likely to fade around 88 to 90 area. So that's a simple day to set up for me on NBIS. Then SE, I really liked the setup yesterday. We closed at the low. There was no bounce, and on a daily time frame, if you look at it, 146 to 148 area is the tricky spot. We closed below that one, right? So what I'm looking for is, like, if we see a rejection of this area, so I'll be looking for a front side short on SE, maybe targeting the yesterday's low, and maybe below that 138 and 135 could see quickly. But yesterday's low we could target if 146 to 148 area reject on SE. But if 148 reclaim, then it's no more short for me.
Sarang,
What's your take?
just want to quickly mention on NBIS real quick. Pretty bearish hidden divergence on that. It has plenty of energy to crackle over, so I'm watching that with you. Good call on that.
NBIS, yeah, that was a nasty it was a nasty kind of intraday turn. I took some scalps NBIS because it went red to green, so it's part of my playbook to go long on that, and then it just like failed, and it failed heavily into the close. So
yeah,
pretty ugly. I would just watch that 100 too. It's kind of it's kind of where we tested it yesterday. So 100 breaks, I think we could see a few more points lower.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask Sarang, what's your take on SC? I think I remember you saying that the earnings wasn't. I don't know if you said that it wasn't bad yesterday, but does the reversal surprise you at all yesterday, or maybe I kind of remember that wrong?
No, I think for NBIS and SE, my takeaway was to downside only. And for ASTS also, I had the same feeling like for downside, but it didn't move. NBIS, I think I called out the plan was like 115 short area, and we back tested it and rejected exactly around that area. But SE, I
Yeah.
think the fair price based on the earning would be like around 140 area. So
Okay.
yeah, so
Yeah.
155,
Okay.
yeah, it was not looking good.
Okay.
And
E-
last one, I
Even
think, yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
no, sorry, I should just say even like Rocket Lab, which had good earnings, just they sold into it. So it feels like a little bit of a theme nowadays, at least this quarter, with earning gap ups.
Yeah, Rocket Lab earning was good. I was surprised that the stock got
Hmm.
sold off. I was looking to play the call on that one, but yeah. And ASTS, I think on the bad earning, it hold all the day. It just chopped all the day. So I hold my put for whole day. It didn't work.
Yep.
Yeah,
Cool.
and I think one more before I move on. So Oklo, I think Oklo reported earning was terrible. So what I'm looking is watching this 106 area. If 106 area break, maybe we'll be targeting maybe 100 or lower on the Oklo. But yeah, I think we have to be a bit patient on this one. If let's say if 110 to 11 area reject and move lower, that could be a short entry, but or below 106, that could be a short entry. But if 11 area reclaim, then probably we could see some short squeeze on Oklo.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Oklo looks like some of the names yesterday, right? They opened them up slightly up, plus 2% maybe, and then they reverse the heck out of them intraday. So I'd be curious to see what happens with OKLO. All right,
yeah.
just time. Sorry, was there anything you want to say, Matej, before I moved on?
Nope. Nope, all good.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's get into some charts from the members. And just as far as time check, we have 8 minutes. So I'm trying to get through this. We'll give it about 5 minutes or so, and then we'll spend a few minutes just get ourselves ready for the open. So starting with, let's start with Circle. Yeah, Circle is looking pretty heavy. It's broken below the IPO day high, around 103. It's below 100. What I would say is like probable target is the IPO all-time lows, unless we recover that high, which is around 103, 104. So Circle is just no trade there. No trade unless there's a news that changes something fundamentally. But right now,
Circle
it's
reported earning today, Space Monkey.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it looks really, really bad. So unless we can recover 100 or so, I'm not interested.
Yeah,
Um, on. So it's a footwear, apparel, footwear, up nicely. Nice little squeeze, 21%. Let's see if it can hold it. Uh, I'd say if it can hold 40, I'd be interested to watching an intraday turn of sorts. So on, very, very nice. See if some of the strength kind of moves into other names, so similar names, right? The one that comes to mind is Lulu, but you can also watch other names, see if that strength kind of seeps into that. Let's take a look at Amazon, another big tech name. Amazon is one of those where it's like setting up for a push. They attempted to push to fill the gap below in the daily after that earnings gap up. And you remember that gap up got sold into, but it's come back. It's kind of been it's actually a picture perfect bull flag if you draw it out on the daily. So for me, the trend is to the upside. The bull flag is there, so it's just a matter of time until that bull flag breaks. And we're starting to see this like activity in some of the big tech names where they're pushing higher. So I think this one could follow. So if Google makes new all-time highs, Apple, let's say, makes new all-time highs, I think this one is on the same list of pushing into new highs. Let's take a look at crowd. Just an all-time high breakout on this one. What I would kind of give a warning on is this expanding megaphone pattern on the daily. Ever since we made that high into that 553 or so, we've just been trading up and down in a bit of an expanding megaphone pattern. So these could be a little tricky, but it's definitely showing some relative strength. I would look to other kind of cyber names, maybe software names, to see if one of those are reporting earnings soon. As because what that would tell me is like it's just kind of sitting in a waiting pattern here, and it could break out soon. But yeah, I mean, it's best in breed. Crowd looks great. GS we talked about. Just kind of reading off some of the names that you guys are calling out. Let's take a look at Cure. I'm not really familiar with this Cure. I think it's medical, right? Biotech. It's kind of big gap up that one day, and it's kind of sitting in the middle of nowhere. Really nice day yesterday. So, watch yesterday's highs for a push towards that 38 or so. Just not a name that I like to trade. So, kind of moving on. But one last one here before I start like focusing a bit. Tesla in a wide range, but it held the bottom of that bounce area on the daily. Right. So I see that as being around like that 415, 420 area. So we've held that. We've held the 50-day. It's a non-trade right now, but it could start catching a little bit of momentum above 450, 453. So that's something I would watch over the next couple of days into the end of the week. All right. Just MDB. MDB inside day breakout, something to watch. Actually looks pretty good. Watch that 375, 380. And then you can see all-time high. So if you start seeing some of these names running, watch MDB. And then lastly here, PANW. Watch that continuation above that 218. Okay, so that was an all-time high. And then we pulled back. We came back and pushed into new all-time highs. And we've since, pulled back once more, actually further down. We actually tested the 50. And now coming back above that previous all-time high. Whenever you reclaim previous all-time high, I like those kind of plays for higher. Matej, I think that's all we have for now.
Yep, that's what we got. Let's get focused for the open. We got 3 minutes. Focus list for the open at least, AMD and Google, and then we'll pivot accordingly to everything else. I would say, IBM, SE Circle, some of those names up there for us in terms of what we're watching, but we'll pivot accordingly. Nice bounce on AMD. AMD defending that 250, 231 really well here in the pre-market, trying to push. This one could squeeze higher first before resetting, so not a whole lot of resistance until 259.65.
A little hot on our side there, right?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah.
So when it's like this, it's either going to like squeeze fast and be hard to catch,
Right.
or dip, reset, and take some time. Google dipping back to that 251.60 here.
Hey, Space Monkey, do you mind just refreshing your alert posting browser before the open?
Yes, sir.
You should have it, so you have those hashtags that you can copy and paste to your X. I just want to make sure you just could see that. And then I have everything going to the chat channel today too, so don't worry about that.
That is incredibly helpful, John. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
I can see it. It's working.
If you untoggle that challenge button, you'll see the hashtags your X. I just want to make sure you
Thank you.
just could see that. And then I have everything.
Market's open. PLTR, big drop. AMD making that fast move, as you said, Matei.
Yep, that's pretty common. Easier to catch that with shares, guys. Careful with the premiums on the open.
Is 61 above that I have here. Oklo trying to break above yesterday's highs, guys. Eli Lilly, nice little dip and rip. Testing 1,000 here. Breaking 1,000. Fast move on Eli Lilly. As some of these names are moving higher, you have SPX filling the gap to the downside. QQQ pulling back as well. Breadth is improving since the open. You have IWM show some relative strength here versus QSBX. Just something to keep note of. Remember yesterday we saw some rotation out of tech into healthcare and some other areas like energy. Google 289 is support here, guys. Let's see if it turns. GS testing all-time highs. Keep an eye on that. It was a fast move as well. IBM
Guys,
near all-time highs as well.
Watching Eli Lilly 1050 calls, a bit of a smaller position.
AMD nice little dip, pop, and then pulled it lower, and then it's coming back strong here.
Eli Lilly has +1 ATR at 996.
Just a huge unwind on PLTR, guys. It's just ugly kind of selling of some of these AI names here early. Let's just be cautious.
I think I was looking at the wrong thing. And +1 on Lilly is 1018. Apologies. Guys, getting filled Eli Lilly at 255 on 1050 calls. Stop 990. Count challenge 2 contracts. There's that pop on AMD. Yeah, really nice.
IBM. See if it could push those 325s, so gaining some premium here as it's pushing into the new all-time highs.
There we go, Lilly. 1018, guys, first target on Eli Lilly. Premium's looking great.
IBM 325 premiums accelerating here to the upside as it's pushing 322. Nice little dip and rip on that one.
Guys, taking half off on Lilly, getting filled at 334 here. It's about 30%. We'll hold the rest at ATR and then look to roll.
Beautiful trade so far there. Okay. MBIS
really
earning
nice.
here, guys. IBM 325s moved very quickly from sub 2 into 350 here as it's pushing all-time highs.
Yeah, I alerted at 1.8 and now they are like 3.2.
Okay. Yeah, good catch there, Sarang. Beautiful. It was on your focus list, so well done.
Pretty nasty dip on Google. I'd wait, guys. Let it either reclaim 251.60 fast or consolidate and turn. Uber crossing price alert here. Uber getting close at 95. That's a swing candidate.
GS new all-time highs, guys, pushing 328 here. JPM, if you didn't catch GS all-time high break, watch JPM pushing all-time highs right here. This nice strength with some XLF names. XLF pushing above 50-day moving average as well. So clear strength in XLF. XLV pushing above yesterday's highs as well. Continued strength in some of these healthcare names, Matej.
Yep.
UNH pushing above 330 here, curling back above the 9-day moving average. Shorter term trend back up.
Could be a nice swing.
Yeah, I think so. As long as it can hold 328. Sorry, 327. What it did was, after a big sell-off, accumulation, failed breakdown, recovery, and now this pullback here is buyable on the daily. You can have your stop at 314. Probably best with shares, honestly.
Yeah. Shares or maybe January calls, something far enough out.
Sure. Okay, Apple 273, guys. This was resistance. And so let's see if it becomes support. Apple should turn here, guys. If not, hands off.
Lily holding 2 bars really well. It's a good sign of strength so far.
What do you mean with 2 bars, Matej?
2-minute candles haven't trailed, so momentum on the open is still alive, basically. If that fails, you'd expect a backtest 1,000 and possibly trap a reset. A lot of first move down. Downs at the open. Apple, Google, Netflix, PLTR, NVIDIA.
See, I think they're gonna buy up this Apple here. That's what
Okay.
I think, but I cannot trade it because
Your data said no.
the data said no, so I need to follow my rules. But like 275s here at 118 is pretty cheap. So here I'll share a screenshot. You can have your stop below 272, 48.
All right, you want to see Lily pop here? I guess I should have that on the stream, dummy.
Nice
S&P.
hammer bar SPX, guys.
Yeah, nice.
So what are some of the levels we're watching with SPX here, guys?
I got 6880 above.
Okay.
Technical level. Gamma need to load. Yeah, actually, there's a peak at 6880 as well, so that matches. It's not very significant, but it's there. And then really nothing until 6920. 6920 is a massive level, just in terms of the gamma profile.
Anybody caught that turn on Apple? Right. So this is like, this will tell us if we have a shot at pushing to new all-time highs. Apple. Just kind of commenting. I'm not in any position, but if there's a turn, it would be there. Okay, IBM testing 325, retracing just a bit.
There we go, Lily. We need like a 2-3 point pop here on Lily.
Clear weakness in tech, guys. Look at Nvidia, what it's doing. It's about to go green to red. Probably best to focus on some of the strength here: healthcare, banks, so on. So I'm trying to be patient here because the name that I really liked at the open was IBM. I just couldn't catch it. It was very, very fast. And I didn't catch that little dip. It was just perfect. Technically, it dipped into yesterday's highs, dipped below all-time highs, and then recovered. Exactly what we talked about in pre-market. Hopefully, some of you guys caught that. I know Sarang did, so well done, Sarang. And he alerted it as well. I just saw the alert, so freaking awesome. And there's continued rotation here. As far as Eli Lilly, Matej, I do have a 10-14-71 resistance here. FYI.
Thank you. Yeah, guys, I'm just trading this opening drive on Lily. So if I trail out, it'll be on like a 2-bar trail, which is pretty tight. And then I'll just revisit it later if it sets up again. But I'm just trading this opening drive. 1018 is +1 ATR, and then Space Monkey's levels just shy of that. So let's see if we can pop up into that to take profit. If not, we'll trail around even, most likely.
See, buyers try to step in on Apple there and just fail. You have Nvidia back below. There's support here, 192.70 on Nvidia. Also, the 20-day moving average just below there. Like, if there's a turn in tech, it should be here. You have QQQ backtesting the 9-day moving average as well. And so I'd be curious to see what happens here if the strength in IWM gets sucked out of it, right? And you see a little bit more of a balanced kind of market where you have QQQ pushing higher as well, or if IWM just gets sold to bits and we see a huge reversal lower across the board. AMD just gave you that 250 dip, 250.42 just held.
Watch LMND here. Good for commons maybe.
Yeah, good call, sir. +1 ATR 84.26 on that, just FYI.
LMD pre-market kind of call out was 80 calls above the PM high, so well done. That is trading around 84.
Here we go, Lily.
UNH 335, real nice break above 330.
Yeah, good call. What's McDonald's doing? Walmart. Okay, nothing crazy. Looks like healthcare is leading the charge right now.
Yeah.
Very clearly.
100%.
Healthcare is the new tech.
Well, you remember a few months ago, right? Like, it was all healthcare.
Yeah.
When tech was doing nothing. So I've always said, like, rotation. That's rotation. Rotation is a sign of a healthy market, I would say, right? It's just like us finding that and rotating to it or moving with it.
Right.
So you did that beautifully with Eli Lilly.
Because if you trade Lily with shares, I'd be scaling out a little bit into this move. I'm trying to wait for ATR here on options. It is but definitely a better name for shares, but you know, premiums kind of got beaten up a little bit for some reason there. Oh, there's a pop. There's a big pop, guys.
Where?
Eli Lilly, yeah, big pop.
Oh, okay.
Premiums just exploded like 25% on that candle.
Broke that 115, which is fib extension.
Guys, I'm selling into this at 410. I'm all out. It's about 60% or so. I will look for roll-ups. If you're trading shares, I just would hold runners trailing like 1005 VWAPs around there. This can get pretty, if this holds through +1 ATR, this can get squeezy today. I would highly recommend everyone go back and listen to the daily market recap last night. I talked about this extensively on when to wait for reversion and how you can play the upside first before the rubber band like stretches and snaps. We're seeing that stretch now. So if this were to get to like, you know, another 25, 50 points higher over the next couple of days, then you can start to think about reversion. But for now, the upside is very clear.
Guys, Oklo reversing red to green here, I believe. And pushing 113. Held beautifully. NBIS 100 downside. Watch it, guys.
Yeah, you have tech weakness on top of that too. -1 ATR NBIS is 92. Lots of room. A good front side rejection there at 104.85.
Yeah.
Good call. IBM's still holding up really
just-
nicely, by the way.
Yeah. Doing good. It's just I'm not
IBM
going
once we
to
yeah.
Wait,
IBM once we hold its 20-day.
NVIDIA, PLTR, Apple, Google, all getting beaten down here today, guys.
Yeah, they're getting smacked. All right, so
Yeah, is
let's
it due to
ISRG.
CPI tomorrow?
say it again.
Is it due to CPI tomorrow? Risk of approach, or what do you say?
It could be. I think we're just getting rotation at the moment, though, because the market's still holding up. You definitely could see that, though, Strang. I like the way you're thinking. We have data that's going to be coming out. We'll probably get a lot of headlines over the next couple of weeks as data kind of catches up. So, yeah, good call, Strang. Maybe some risk off into that.
UNH, new highs. ISRG, pushing higher.
Guys, I'm starting to watch Eli Lilly 11:21 next Friday's 1100 calls as a possible roll up or a swing. Be a swing using profits.
VIX testing 1760, moving higher here, red to green. Guys, I'm in MBIS 95 puts. It is a small account challenge. Stop at 1 or so.
Guys, keep an eye on Netflix. A little bit lower volume right now, but it is really reset in terms of the RSI. And it's at that 1134 key level, super key spot. It briefly broke over yesterday, and it's actually holding this dip quite nicely so far. So watch this if it pops back through the opening print high, 1138, and if volume starts to build, that could be a sleeper play today.
Watching this bounce spot on ES SPX here.
Quick 100 MBIS. All right, so MBIS, yesterday's lows is right around 100. Also, that PM low from earnings, 99.50 or so. We need to break that for it to be a big push lower. There's a risk of a failed breakdown here, so keep an eye on this.
Oklo looks like
I have a level at 98.85 for what it's worth on NVIS.
Say it again.
98.85 and then 92. But I do have a precise level at 98.85 that we just got 15 cents from.
Yeah, just got filled here. Some guys, just selling some here, taking some off. The big bounce area here and risk of failed breakdown. The market is starting to bounce here as well. SPX trying to bounce, fill the gap almost. No, not really, but bouncing off of yesterday's kind of area of resistance. So trying to be cognizant of that. Oklo squeezing here, guys. Trying to recover that low on the daily around 115. That's the 9-day moving average, but also a swing low October 22nd.
Guys, something to watch out for today that could be an interesting setup for the market. As long as this gamma profile stays the way it is, something that I could see playing out is if this tech dip gets bought while we're in this supportive environment, that could be what leads us. Like if you start to see tech really bounce hard, that it wouldn't be surprising to get to 6,900, 6,920, if not today into tomorrow. So just something to watch. If the tech bounces don't get bought, obviously, it's a little bit more hands off, but mid to late session, that could be what sends us higher if they hold. So watching that really closely. For now, they're looking terrible. So.
yes, he is looking nice here. Below maybe low of the day.
check it out. Looks a little thin today. What do you think, Sri? It's like a crazy wick off the open.
Yeah, generally it does like that only, and the fade all the day.
Yeah.
Premiums are not looking great, That's why maybe
Yeah.
good for commons.
Right. Okay, so with the Eli Lilly, one thing you want to look at when you're testing a ATR or something like this is you want to consider the big picture context, but also the volume. Volume's trading 2x right now, and it's very hot on pretty much all the time frames we look at, which doesn't mean that it can't go higher. It actually just means that it could squeeze, and then when it does reset, this is one that I look for, like that intraday bullish divergence to set up that we look for on the 15-minute. So I'm watching that close. So it's close to rolling up on that dip right there, but I'm just gonna be hands off for now and wait and see if we get a better setup intraday. This one looks like it can really go. So when you have 2x volume, right from the pre-market, it wasn't really a whole lot of volume, and then now you're seeing 2x volume. The ATR is less. The first ATR is less important, right? Because you have more people participating. The odds that it can get through what it typically would be held up by are elevated when the volume is elevated, right? It's just common sense. So we'll see if this sets up for us intraday. For now, if you're holding runners, I'll let runners run. You could trail like the 5-minute bar, like the 90 MA or something like that. And then otherwise, wait for it to set up intraday. Once we get a decent dip, regardless if that's higher, it could set up a really nice entry. Netflix holding 1134. MBIS looking great for you, Space Monkey. How are the premiums? He might have stepped away. J Money, can you hear me? Just making sure my audio is working.
Yeah, sorry, I
can
was
hear you.
muted. I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. No big deal.
Yeah, I was just saying that I just got filled here, so I'm just,
Okay.
yeah. Regarding premium, a little slow, but started accelerating. I sold into this. I have a. Give me 1 second here. I have a support 97.67. If that
Okay.
breaks, I see 91 below. So
Okay. Yeah, I like 92 something or 91 and change. So that lines up.
okay.
Cool.
Yeah, Eli Lilly, beautiful. UNH, beautiful. UNH, just rocket ship. GS, I was calling out GS when I was on mute. GS Banks looking
Okay.
pretty strong as well.
Guys, there's that pop on Netflix. There's the turn. Watch that get through the opening print high, 1138. That would be more convincing.
Ooh, nice turn, yeah.
Yeah.
Red to green too.
Yeah, that was probably
That was,
playable, but you know.
Yeah, that was the 200-day moving average and the 20-day, right around that 120 that acted as resistance a couple of days ago.
Okay.
And then once we recovered it yesterday, we squeezed higher. So
Nice.
beautiful bounce. Nice call out.
Okay. Because I'm liking SPX calls as well. This is an interesting spot here.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the gamma flip at 65, Mate.
Okay.
You know, I think it can work, but you'd have to trim into that, and then it may kind of need to grind up above that for a while. So it may not, you know, that can be a ceiling, and it may be difficult to clear that spot.
Okay. Yeah, maybe better to wait for it to establish above that. Because above that, we've got that positive and supportive combo, which with that big peak above, we would expect it to pull into that, right?
Right. Yeah, we'll see, and that line may change on an update, which,
Right.
you know, so
Okay. Yeah, I'll wait.
there's an entry off of 50, you know, 6850 that we're trying to bounce off of here, but you'd have to trim into that, and then we'd have to be able to clear that 65 spot.
Okay. Good intel. IBM looking really good as well. What's ATR on this? I wonder if it's close. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There you go. So +1 ATR is at 323. So with the volume elevated, it's kind of dissipating volume, which I don't love, but this is one that could just be pausing because of that ATR. And once it gets through it, the premiums, you see the premiums start to expand, this could actually be a really nice play. It's almost like ATR is acting like a speed bump, but if it can get over it, push through the highs, this thing could really move. What do you guys have any levels above? Space Monkey, I don't have. Do you have levels above on IBM? I guess this is all-time highs, right?
Yeah, let me take a look. A second. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was looking at. Give me a second.
Yeah. No rush. So ATR typically on IBM is $9.
831.
Okay, so that's okay. Let's see what these premiums look like.
31.
I think this is a play, guys, on IBM because ATR is here. If it fails 322, probably just want to be hands off, right? But if it holds, this can really start to push with this relative strength that we have. So it's like one of those tight stops, good risk reward setups. 330s are $1.50, $1.80. Pretty wide spreads on those.
Dell turning on the daily here. NBIS, if you like it, 100 backtest here. It could be a nice little roll opportunity, guys. We exited perfectly near the lows there. Nice 97.67 bounce.
Guys, I'm going to try a small trade on IBM here. Getting filled 330 calls $1.67. This is going to be a very tight stop and smaller size. So if we fail 322, I'm just going to cut fast. But I want to be positioned for this to get to 330 if it holds. I like what I'm seeing.
Full turn. Guys, Oklo doing some real nice stuff today.
Oh wow, yeah, nice.
So Oklo, obviously, we need to look at some of the other names. So NNE, SMR, some of the nuclear names, I guess. But this one is like nothing is looking great, unless I'm missing something. But keep an eye on. So UNH, it's hard because they're squeezing it. Once it flipped that 9-day moving average 330 break, we saw a fast 11-point higher today. So the magnet is that 347, 350 above. There's some good resistance. You have the 20-day, you have the 50-day right there. For now, NBIS is setting a break of that 97.67, resisting that 100 to the upside. If we get back above 100, it's going to be harder to play to the downside. So you can use that as your stop. You can trade against that 100 of sorts. You might push it up a few cents just because the overnight low is right above there. SoFi, nice call out, Strader. Yeah, that's a beautiful move, guys. SoFi. It's been consolidating forever, trying to break that 3250. If it breaks the 3250, this one can move to 34.35 very quickly. You're seeing nice bounces in some of these tech names. We're starting to get a little bit of a relief bounce here. Let's see if we can kind of build on that. QQQ just back testing the 9-day moving average, right around 620, 150. So that's where we are right now. I'll post the chart for everybody. SoFi new all-time highs, I believe.
All right, so very curious how tech responds with seeing like Lilly starting to pull back a little bit. Like what's UNH doing? A little bit of a rejection at 342. It's minor, guys, small observation. I'm just curious, like if tech starts to rotate, if
AMD.
healthcare pairs with it, that could be really interesting. Yeah, nice. AMD. Yeah, good call.
Didn't mean to interrupt, but that 250 held.
Yeah, that's good. It's also very reset now compared to earlier. NVIDIA coming back. Apple. Google a little slow though. PLTR a little slower.
Using recovering the 9 here. So let's see if AMD could lead higher into that 261 plus. I'm liking AMD here, you guys, for this turn, especially QQQ doing what it's doing. Those 262.50s are not terrible. We're at 350 here. AMD high day test. They're really fighting it here, guys. AMD. This could snap back up a few points higher, actually.
Yeah.
Yep, premium coming into the 260-250s here.
Yeah, they've went. This is a good sign for the tech too, just overall. I have 259.65 to be precise as far as at a resistance level. Testing right now.
Yeah, that was a nice scalp, guys. If you caught that call out, nice teamwork, Cherry Grit, calling out AMD reversal, and that was just so clear to me because of QQQ snapping back above the 9-day. You'll see AMD pushing towards that 260. So well done, sir. And those premiums moved almost to 5 from 350 or so on this move.
Very nice. Yeah, good call out. Really nice catch. That was like one of those moments. You have to obviously be really fast, but
Yeah. AMD 261 and then all-time highs 267. There's a lot of supply here. I mean, 263 is littered with just sellers, and so it's tricky here. But there's a lot of energy in it here. Oklo, fantastic move. That one can move towards 15% on the day if you can hold this 116 9-day moving average. Nice seeing you guys. Some of the members caught that AMD call out very. You had to be very, very quick. Some took shares, some took scalps, just 260 calls. Moved really nicely. So for a scalp, that was fantastic.
nice.
But you see what's happening here, right? Q's back lower, AMD pulling back off of that 261 resistance. But as long as AMD holds yesterday's, the high day that is set in the first 10-minute candle, I think this one could be looked at a push back up higher. So just kind of an idea here.
Yeah.
NBIS still weak. The attempt above 100 is failing. This is what I call a 111 to the downside on the 10-minute. So I like that low to break, and we can see this expansionary kind of candle lower into new lows.
ES little precarious here, so we're rejecting that ceiling. We're falling out of supportive charm. We're testing the polar, so below 6850, the downside opens up another 20-30 points.
Yep, not a good combo for upside unless it reclaims it. Nice call.
It's a tricky day, guys. It's a tricky day. I think it's prudent to just be very, very cautious. And I think we did a good job today catching some of the bigger movers off the open, but I think it's going to be another tricky day, just similar to yesterday, I would say.
Yeah.
So on days like today, Matej, how do you kind of adjust?
Sit on hands until something's very clear, right? I think the momentum is lower in tech, and then there's clear strength in healthcare. So I would just, if there's not a very clear setup, I would just sit on hands. I think that's the best thing that you can do, right? Is that a lot of times, for me, it's easy because you can still get movement in this environment, and it's easy to want to try and chase things. But it's better to just wait for it to be very crystal clear what the setups are that you're looking for, right? And align with those. So that or just size down. But I think just sitting on hands can be a little easier. Just let it set up, let it play out, let the market find its balance. If a trade's not clear, you probably shouldn't take it, right? That's kind of what I try to live by.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
What about you?
Absolutely. I think, yeah, I mean, I think, so, yeah, I mean, obviously similar stuff, right?
Yeah.
Gavin, I scalped I traded the NBIS downside just because I knew there was a move there. Like if it felt like we could push lower, so it felt like a pretty
Mhm.
good high grade trade. But it's also like I took profit very quickly, right? And so that's one way to adjust, right? You see green, kind of take it, and you can always roll with profits or just sit on hands. But
Yeah.
sit on hands, scale down your size. If momentum shifts, you kind of pounce on it. But it also depends on what kind of trader you are. If you're a scalper, these kind of days could be good because you often
Mhm.
get opportunities to enter. So it all depends.
Yeah.
NBIS new low at day, AMD new high day. Really, really strong AMD.
I think this is one of those days you could see really nice late day action, right? Like that 2 p.m. Once that 2 p.m. hits, I think it's going to be a little bit more clear. And until then, like you said, just sticking with names that have relative strength, like AMD is fantastic. Eli Lilly, really nice today. NBIS, nice to the downside. So, if you're aligned early with the right names, stick with them and then just wait for things to become clear. Because it's not like we're not moving. There's definitely areas of the market moving well, and often those secondary trades or secondary opportunities will set up, and that 1 to 2 p.m. you'll start to see things kind of pick a direction. So
Yeah, it all depends, right? So I always see it in a very simple matter, which is it's a fight between bears and bulls. And what the bears are trying to do, recover levels to the downside to put pressure on the bulls to get that, push even lower. And if bears fail to do that, right? Meaning if bears fail to push, let's say below 68.50, which is important to me, then the bulls at some point will step in and push price higher. It's as simple as that. So, right now the momentum is in the shorts kind of side of things, but if they fail, and I usually call it like they drop the ball, then there's a pretty good chance that you get the opposite, which is strength by bulls to push price higher, right? And so let's see what happens here. I think as long as SPX is above 6850, for me, I'm fairly bullish to the upside. But I'm saying that while also noticing that there is rotation into other parts of the market. So just because I'm bullish, SPX, meaning I think it can move higher, doesn't mean that I want to trade tech when it's looking the way it is.
right.
Right? It just means that you want to look at Eli Lilly, you want to look at banks, and then you also want to be aware of that relative strength. So when you get that rotation into other parts of the market, that is not an infinite source, right? It's a finite thing to look for. So you can get a little bit of a kind of weakening of that strength and rotation back into other places, maybe, or even a full broad sell-off in the overall market.
Yep. Yeah. Great insight there.
Apple for me is putting in a really nice recovery run here. Held at 272.50 and started to break higher. So this one, keep an eye on that 274 area. I think it's harder here. It might put in a little bit of an inside day range to yesterday, but it's holding where it needs to. Now, what could happen here, guys, is that we could develop a bear flag across the morning time. So if you look at QQQ here, Mate, the 10-minute shows you a bear flag developing. We can see a break. Now we're bear flagging above the 20-day moving average, sitting around 618 and change. So bear flag above support, break, you could see an acceleration to the downside.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I think it's easy to try and catch the dip on Qs and tech just because they're weak, like that rotational play that we talked about earlier. But it's just so much better to trade the right side of that chart than the left, because what happens if tech just continues to stay weak? You're just trading the left side of a drop, right? The best, like on Qs, which I'll put on the screen, it's much easier to wait for say some kind of consolidation to set up and then turn, this right side turn often creates really simple entries. Not only are the entries simple, but there's multiple things working in your favor on the right side of the trade versus the left, meaning you have better risk reward. So you can have a clear defined area to get, where you stop out, what you're risking against. But then also too, you're now in line with the trend. Right now, the momentum is to the downside. So you're just trying to knife catch if you're buying here. And yeah, that can work. But it's harder to manage versus catching the right side. Right side gives you a better opportunity to get more size, scale in even more, and ride the wave. Right, they have this. It's supported by the trend at that stage compared to on the left side. So, and you can get in a lot of trouble on the left side, I would say, as well. It's not to say there can't be good trades there, and that it's just something to totally avoid. It's just to say that trading that right side, there's more opportunity to do better things in terms of managing the position, getting paid. AMD is just popping very fast here, guys.
Yeah. It's moving really nicely here into that 264 area.
I think TC caught AMD, I believe. Am I crazy? Hold on. I thought I saw that. Yeah. You got long 260 calls for next week.
260, 250s, we call that as a scalp, almost in the money here, guys. So. MDB coming here, pushing highs. Nice little turn MDB. Just got the alert. Testing yesterday's highs here. An inside day breakout, we call that in pre-market, if you remember. Should target 378, about 375.
Those 260 calls, TC bought for next week are at 11:30 from his entry that I now somehow lost. 6.
Okay.
Beautiful.
You want to share with everybody who that is?
Oh yeah, right.
Just because it's not
Yeah.
just us. Yeah.
I almost forgot. Yeah,
Maybe you
so
can explain, like, the structure.
right. Yeah, so for anyone that's new or maybe listening for the first time, Space Monkey, myself, and J Money lead up the trading. Space Monkey and I both focus on options and some shares here and there. And then J Money's focused on futures, but also does trade equities and has a lot of great insight on that. So we kind of lead the room from the front, and then we have some great analysts that have been with us for a very long time, who actually many started out as members and became into their own independent traders, and now have their own voice, their own channels that they share their work, their research, and their trades live as well. So we have that section in the Discord. Each has their own channel, and then we also have just a feed of all alerts. So if you're not wanting to hop back and forth between a bunch of channels, you can just see a stream of ideas triggering in real time. And just about all those ideas we do talk about in the pre-market in our prep. So we put out the pre-market prep note. We do go through a lot of information, so we try to put out a focus list into the open. And then we can't control obviously how the market changes after the open and what it does. So as we pivot, like IBM, I wasn't planning on alerting, but we try to give heads up and call everything out on stream in real time, so everyone's well aware of what's going on. So just a little insight. We've got Sarang, TC, IV as analysts with their own a little bit different style of trading. You can see all their track records posted on X and in the room. So if anyone has questions about that, just let us know. But we've built a pretty good team. It's pretty exciting to see all this come together. So very proud of that.
I just want to point out from a gamma perspective that we are about to trigger a short setup. Under 68.50, we're about to fail this polar. We're in suppressive charm. We failed out of supportive charm, and we're in negative gamma. So we could see, and it's fairly thin. There's not a whole lot below us. So underneath 68.50, on SPX could get another 20, 30 points here today.
By thin, you mean we can move fast, yeah?
Yep.
It's freedom to move for sure. Not a lot stopping us from selling. A bigger position around like 68.15, that could get supportive. Some support around 40 and 35. But yeah, not a whole lot of friction.
Oklo pulling back lower. You're seeing a little bit of a decline in some of the internals, guys. You have VIX moving higher. You have the breadth now retreating. You can see IWMs pulling back here. So the breadth of the market just usually follows that very strongly. The tick, which you want to see positive, is now negative 350. So it's unable to hold positive. And so, those three variables kind of put together gives me the information I need to just sit on hands here for now, or play the downside, I guess. AMD to the upside is still something to watch. I think that one has a shot at all-time highs today. Let's say QQQ SPX bounce, put in a nice little V-shaped recovery like yesterday. I think pretty good shot at that one, pushing towards those highs. Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes.
Yep. Sounds good. Jay, is that something that you're gonna go take that short? Like, are you looking for an entry?
No, I won't take it. I had the trade from this morning. If I was going to take one, I would probably take the back test of 68.60 against the Charm Zero line. But I won't take this one personally.
Got the camera back on. My camera had died earlier. How's everyone doing today?
Hey man, good. Team is on fire, even though the market's not gone anywhere. We've had Lily Pay, MBIS Pay, AMD, IBM, everybody.
Yeah, love
Doing
seeing
well.
that. Love seeing TC and everyone else winning as well. Yeah, great work, everyone. Beadorts with the massive GS long.
Oh,
It's
did
great
he?
seeing the members, call things out, actionable information, right? And
Oh yeah.
and put the trade on, follow their plan. I love to see that. We've been watching, members grow for years now, right? And just seeing that hard work compound, just honestly really proud of all of you.
100%. Wow, GS really did explode, huh? Fantastic.
I know I banned you from trading it, so that's why I didn't
Yeah,
bring it up
I
to
just
the
didn't
market.
even, I don't even, I did talk about it in the recap yesterday, but I know better than to try and trade it, so
yeah, you're not allowed.
I'm not allowed. Guys, I'm watching this Eli Lilly 1100 call for next week. I am going to keep a stop on this one just to protect some profit. I'm watching, not quite ready to enter, it's very close. Basically, just as long as it holds 1,000, I think there's a lot of potential in this. This is what I was talking about earlier. Let me actually fix the stream so you can follow along with what I'm saying. This is what I was talking about earlier with getting a decent reset. So there's not a divergence per se, which is something that would give me even more confidence. But there's a nice dip off of that push into the +1 ATR, and we're still defending 1,000. So this is, and the pre-market highs. So it's not a bad spot. But like I said, if we get that tech rotation today and then to move out of healthcare, I'd rather just get, cut that. But if that doesn't happen, we can continue to see healthcare move. So just watching it closely here. Netflix, really nice move. Anybody catch that Netflix call out? It's done this 3 days in a row in a little bit of a different way, I guess. But it's responded well off dips really nicely. It's actually created some nice day trading opportunity. Even though it's technical, you have on the first day, you just pull this up here. So the first day we broke out, we caught this long, and then had this intraday divergence into the end of the day. Really nice spike into the close. Yesterday, run up off the open, very big move, big pullback, intraday bullish divergence present, turns big move into the close. That was even a stronger trade. Today we dip off the open instead of ripping off the open back into the trend, and the turn is really nice, supported right back up to the highs. So very bullish price action on Netflix overall. Watch AMD. I'm about to cut IBM. So a paper cut is worth a shot. It's still holding 322, but I'm ready to cut it. AMD is just a monster right now. Your Netflix 1160 calls, nice. Yeah, our thesis has played out great on Netflix. We went into the week from Sunday's call, watching this run up into 10-for-1 split coming up on Friday. And the bigger picture on Netflix that was most intriguing to me was the way that it's bottomed off of 1080. So it's just really been reluctant to go lower. And even though it struggled to go higher, it formed a bit of a bottom with multiple traps at that 1080 and then closed last week above 1100. So going into this week is very simple. You hold 1100, it's very likely to release to the upside, especially paired with the market, which played out beautifully. So we're in next week's 1200 as a free roll up. We've caught it a couple days in a row, the 1130 call, 1150 call. And now next week's 1200, I plan to just swing that.
NBIS new lows.
Oh, wow. That was nice.
UNH new highs here. Nice little 2 candle kind of bull flag, push higher. Could be a good check back here when it comes to Eli Lilly for an entry. Higher low, back to the PM high.
Yep, I'm watching that entry right now, actually. I was just talking about it when you walked away.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's good. We're aligned.
Pretty nasty rejection on Oklo. Matei around your level, I believe, right?
Yeah, 118, yep.
AMD touched +2 ATR, which is pulling up the extensions. So +2
wow.
is 260, 240. Blew over a little bit.
SPX 6838, 6843 range support here. Netflix relatively strong here. IWM almost red. full-on reversal, which we talked about. NBIS hitting $3 here, the
Wow.
150s.
If we lose 30 on SPX, that can definitely accelerate to the downside. Definitely hands off by the dip for me personally. But good job, guys, focusing on relative weakness, relative strength today, right? You don't have to trade indices every single day. So Netflix, relative strength, Lilly, relative strength, MBS, relative weakness. Good stuff, guys.
Just took some off here, guys. NBIS 95 puts. Just took one off. I'm holding one. Let's see if it can break into the money. I think we nailed that NBIS, guys.
Yeah, you crushed that. Beautiful trade.
Thanks. Bang, bang, like we say.
Yeah.
Right? True grit. Andretti.
A little relative strength in Apple here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's recovering those levels. It's been trading around Mateo, so like it's one of those sneaky ones that you usually call out. It's just doing something that is different.
Yeah.
A pretty good example of what we're talking about on Gamma, where we fail out of the supportive environment, and then you fail the polar in negative Gamma and suppressive charm, and we're down 15 points from 6850. So that's just part of the playbook that we'll be going over more pretty soon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, nice call out, Jam. Beautiful. That was easy, like 12 points or so.
That was nice. So I believe we're testing that a little bit of support here. 3540. It's about 15 million dealer along Gamma, which we got a little reaction. It's nothing massive, but let's see if that does anything here. Guys, I'm ready to cut IBM. I'm just giving it like this 5-minute candle. Very small position. I'm not going to mess around with it too much, but let's see if they try to trap this 322 with S&P testing this 40.
Best spot for SPX to bounce here.
Yeah.
If it bounces here, recovers 50, it could be a little bit of a push back towards that 68.70.
Yeah, this could be a better timed entry for that long idea earlier. Although, as J Money has pointed out, it's a bit tough until we're back through like 65. Risk reward's good here, but probability probably still a little low.
So let's talk about psychology a little bit, because not a whole lot is going on. But if you've had a good trade or two this morning, what you do not want to do is, increase your profits on the day unless there's some really incredible setups, right? You have to get back into that protect the profit mode, right? Considering how the market is acting and you're seeing these pretty extreme moves to the downside, It's okay to roll. So if you have profits, you want to roll into a more speculative play, that's fine. But I think it's more important to protect that profit. So don't give it back to the market lords.
Yeah.
I think it's. I'm saying this because it's a little bit of a reminder for myself. Just being extra cautious, extra picky, right? And that's part of what's so good about being a day trader. Is like one of the positives is that you can be picky. You can be very picky with the trades that you take, because if you're a true day trader, you're making those kind of decisions on a day-to-day basis. Loving Apple here, what it's doing, but I cannot trade it. I will trade it, but I cannot trade it. I shouldn't be. Yeah, Andrade, that's exactly right. One of the members, less trades, higher conviction with size. This is the new plan. I would say the only thing with that is higher conviction, but the right size, right? Because when you say with size, it just implies like larger position size, but it's not always true, right? It could still be a good setup, but depending on the day, I like to adjust the size accordingly. Just a nuance, but that's just like how I think. He changed it. We're seeing this really nice 10-point bounce off of that 6838.40. Now let's see what they do at 6850. The back test here is important. Apple making strides higher. If it goes green, I would assume that we're going to push higher. More likely than not, we'll push higher in SPX or just chop around in range.
Remember calling out gold ripping. Been talking about that one. I totally missed that move though today. Wow. What a move. Nice call out.
Yeah, AMD new all-time highs should come if market bounces. And I don't like to speak in like certainty because nobody knows. It just is acting like it wants to. So it's a pretty good probability that it will if the market bounces.
Guys, I'm getting long.
I was in
Lily 1100 calls for next week. I will use a stop on this. I just want to see if this can defend this 1100 back test.
nice entry, man. Nice patience. Waiting for that.
Like so.
Like 1100 back test, recovery of PM high. That's like a long every day, especially when you have gains.
Right, exactly.
We like an AMD, but I'm just gonna sell hands here. Oh, what I was gonna say is it's like I was in 250 calls AMD yesterday that I lost on.
Oh, that's fun. Gotta love that.
Yeah. AMD seeing the 263, 264 tested here now. That's the last line of defense before that all-time high around 267.
274.84 is +3. 262.40 is +2.
Yeah. Oh,
Give us +5.
Haven't seen a +3. We saw it in a long time. We saw a -3 not that long ago, in the whole market. That
Google.
was fun.
Remember Google? You called it out live on the
Yep.
headline,
Oh,
the
yeah.
negative headline, and it was like a fantastic entry.
Yep, 100%. That was a good one. Any questions? Anyone guys have any questions? Psychology, anything for Mate or Space Monkey or myself? Feel free to throw them in the chat.
All right, Lily. Let's see if Lily can reclaim here. There's a VWAP is 1,008. Really nice bounce off of that back test. See if it can hold or not.
Hey guys, I just changed my T-shirt. You see my space T-shirt?
Oh yeah, let's go.
Isn't that cool?
That's great. Nice touch.
Yeah, figured.
Love it.
I would like to request one of those. I'll send you my address in DM.
We can slap on the TWI logo or something there.
Camera started zooming down a little bit. I almost got excited.
Oh, John, please.
What? Relax.
Relax, John.
Sorry. Hello, world. Hi, Mom.
Let him get warmed up to you a little bit first.
Guys, NBIS 95 puts are almost in the money here.
Man.
Yeah, 92 is -1.
Yeah. Yeah, I have 91 or so support.
I think DRD had a question for you, Mate.
Yeah, I
Or
see
Space
it.
Monkey.
I see it. I'm queuing it in my brain. Just watch.
Who asked the question?
I'll read it. Infamous Dr. D said, curious to hear if there are different opinions on this. Is there ever a point you simply sell because of PNL? I had a big day Monday, took off Tuesday, hit a 200% sized up trade this morning. Within 10 minutes, it went up another 100%, and I didn't hold runners because I was too happy with the number. Does price rule always, or is there a point, like price action, or is there a point where the dollar amount PNL matters? I think you and I, Space Monkey, are like kind of a, not a yin and yang, but like kind of a, we have, like, I feel like you're better at the risk management side and viewing that end of it. And I have a little bit more focus on like the odds. And I think somewhere in the middle is probably the best answer. But if you want to give your thoughts on that initially, because I guess, well, just my initial response is I struggle with that as well, because to me, every hand is a new hand being dealt, right? And so the way that I've like trained my mind to work is if a hand's dealt and the odds are good, I should play the hand. Like if I have edge as a trader, I should be taking every trade, as many trades as that I have with the edge present, right? Because you just want to maximize gains. That can get tricky though if like you're not honest with yourself, right? Like if there's not a very strong hand present, and just because you're up, you take a careless trade or something like that, right? So maybe in a perfect world, if you're actually truly just playing strong hands, you should be continually placing risk on the table. But in practice, it may be harder to do psychologically, right? So, and I think you manage risk extremely well when it comes to that, better than I do, in terms of just like where you're at for the day. Like you even mentioned earlier on the call how you were, if you're up on the day, like don't get back profit, right? Like wait for something better. So anyway, those are some thoughts that I have, but curious what you want to say about that.
I think we're all different. So we all deal with pressure. We all deal with we all have different goals, and I think the way you think about things is like textbook how you should think about things, I think. And so I struggle with that to a certain extent, meaning like I know what to do, I try to do it, but then I hit a wall and I'm like, okay, I feel uncomfortable here. I'm just gonna do what feels good to me. And so and the way I trade is just the way I trade. I don't. It's probably not for everybody, but I do. You know, once I hit a certain limit, and it's not like a numbers limit. It's more of a I'm content kind of feeling. Like I'm content with my day. I don't want to put like too much pressure on things. I just want to do some other things. Maybe like I don't want to take unnecessary risks to like give back some of the profits. I just usually just chill. So it's more. I think a good guideline would be to be talking about that a little bit. Like so, once you have profit, like the last thing you want to do is give it back. And so I feel like a lot of traders do that. They get overconfident, they give their profit back, and then they're sitting in the hole again. So I guess it's just like I've adjusted my trading to that idea, I think. And if you do go green to red, don't try to go back green because you dig a deeper hole, I promise.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answered your question. It's just like find what works for you and just trade it. I think the way you do things, Matej, is just excellent for you. I don't know if I can do it the same way you do, but the good thing I would say is since we've become like trading partners, like I've learned a lot from you, and I think I've started to kind of push myself a little bit towards that. So I'm getting better when it comes to that.
It's funny you say that because I was literally going to say the same and the opposite. Like it would probably be a cool visual to illustrate for members what we're talking about. Because after trading, we've known each other for a while, but trading closely now for almost a year, which is crazy. I feel myself analyzing that side more because the reality is, while something can be textbook, we're all human, right? So I can say like I'm up, a few grand on the day or something, and then, see a trade that's like average. I might convince myself that it's better than average and overtrade or take it when I shouldn't, right? So if it's truly a very strong op and the odds are good, I should be playing that edge for sure. But how honest are you being with yourself? And there's good days and bad days, right? Like we know like there's streaks where you're like just super sharp and on point, and then there's weeks where maybe your sleep's messed up or you're not performing very well, and your end of the spectrum is incredibly important because at the end of the day, what matters is the bottom line, right? If the dollars aren't there, then what are you doing, right? Like you can talk about, oh, I'm playing at my edge or make all these excuses, but if the performance isn't there, it doesn't matter, right? So it's definitely a balance of the two, I think, and it is somewhat personal in how it applies to the individual for sure. But I think both perspectives are very valuable to consider for members. So,
well said. I truly believe that like small wins add up, like in anything in life, like trading to like life, goals they might have. Like if you have a big goal and you have smaller goals, if you keep adding on those smaller goals, you'll reach that bigger goal. So like same with trading, and just because you have a bigger account doesn't mean they should just like throw money out there, because you'll hit that one day where the market will teach you not to do that, and you're gonna have to dig yourself out of a hole. So I truly believe in like account management first, and then like taking shots, right? Like take shots when you see them, but take the right shots. Don't get too overconfident.
Right. Yeah, and it should come first, because if you're not in the game, you can't play, right? So.
Yeah, of course.
We talked a little bit about this, I think, in the workshop, but I like to think of trading as like 3 key components. You could even visualize it as like a chair, or some kind of metaphor. But there's psychology, there's risk management, and there's edge, and you really can't be consistently profitable in the long term without doing well at all of them, right? Like if you have no edge, and you think correctly and you have risk management, you'll probably make a little bit of money, but in the long run, the house is going to win. You're going to, have a bad day or whatever, and it's just not going to work out super well. If you, have really good edge, but you have zero risk management or don't know how to think properly and manage your emotions, it doesn't matter how good your edge is, because you're likely, because your edge is so good, probably sizing up a lot. And the day you don't think correctly or tilt, you're done, right? So you have to. We as traders have to consider all three of those things. They're like pillars, right? It's like the legs of the table can't stand, without edge, and the surface of the table can't be used without thinking right, if that's like your risk management or your solid foundation, or however you want to visualize it. But those three things, those three components, I think as you trade year after year, you start to understand that a little bit more and what that means to you individually, because it can apply differently to different people in the way that they trade, but in the end, they're all important. So
yeah, that's a good way to explain it, actually. Just go through some questions here. See, there was one up here that I want to make sure that I'm reading. So Sky asking about sunk cost fallacy. So it's a pretty big kind of psychological, I don't know, like concept. But it's basically when you feel that you're like pretty heavily invested into something, and you just kind of you stick with it when you know you're supposed to do something about it, right? So an example of that would be that you're in a trade, you start averaging in, and I'm already in 50% of my portfolio. I'm just going to add another 10%. Maybe it could turn. Maybe price will turn. I'll make it up. And you keep thinking in those ways, and then it just it will punish you, right? So that trap is a trap that you need to be aware of and not think in those ways. So I'm too heavily invested already, or whatever it is. Like, you have to be careful with that. Right? So you have to be more objective in the way that you're approaching a trade. So the best way to do it would be at least the best way for me to do it is, I enter a trade understanding already when my thesis is broken or when I'm wrong. Once I'm wrong, or if something changes, so if I'm in a trade because there's relative weakness, and on a dime there's a headline, and that relative weakness changes to relative strength, like, there's no reason to stay in that trade. Right? And even if you're in it and you're heavily in it, like, it's better to just take your loss and readjust. And so, don't try to basically justify being in a losing trade because you're already like too heavily invested in it. And so that's what I have to say about that. I don't know, Matej, if you have any kind of thoughts on that.
I think you nailed it. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Cool. So I'm reading one here. It's a pretty long one.
Guys, watch the S&P 35. It's still a little bit supportive above that. If we fell there, there's a bit of a tripwire. We could accelerate quicker to the downside below that. And then
so somebody's asking about execution. Sorry, where are you done?
You're good. I was just gonna say below that 68.15 is the next area of support. But go ahead.
Yeah, I actually think SPX is a pretty good support level here. Like, what I would say is, I would trade long against the low of the day.
Yeah.
So you have about 5 or 6 points low, and then you can actually move towards 687. That's what I have to say about this. It's a so-called like good relative, risk reward play to the upside. That's how I usually trade these longs. So it's a question about execution and hesitating when, like struggling when you see a trade and not taking it, right? That hesitation that sometimes prevents you from taking something where that you know that you have a pretty good shot at kind of nailing. Um, sorry, just reading the question. And I mean, hesitation, execution, just the trading is two parts. One is like being able to find trades, and the second bit is actually executing on the thesis or the, whatever the idea is. And execution is probably harder. I think anybody could learn to find a good trade, right? Anybody could, virtually say, okay, SPX is a good trade here to the upside. You have your stop on the lows, and you can trade along. If you get stopped out, you're out. So you're risking X, but you can make Y. And so what I would say is like with time and the more confident you become, the better your execution will become. But part of execution is also like learning what the mistakes are, what are some of those like tripwires are for you, and working on those diligently every day. So an example of that would be, okay, I enter too early. I enter too early. I'm a little too excited when I see the trade. I get in too early. It's like, okay, so what's happening here? Well, what could be happening here is that you're seeing a trade and you're really fast at finding these trades. Like the way you scan the markets is above normal. So that's one. Recognizing that will kind of allow you to push the brakes a little bit on the execution part until some of the other variables line up. Meaning, okay, you see this, move into resistance. It pushes above resistance. Now the idea here is that resistance becomes support, and what you want to do is, just wait for that back test. And if that back test holds, that is your trigger. So what's happened there is that you have the idea and the execution lining up really nicely. Sometimes what happens, what a lot of traders do, and I've done this a lot in the past, and I still do it sometimes, I get a little too ahead of myself. I get into the trade, and then that pullback that naturally happens after an attempt to break out shakes me, right? Shakes me out of the trade. And so what I try to tell myself is, okay, you're pretty good at sensing or seeing these trades. Wait for that back test. If that back test holds, that is your trigger. Not the first attempt, not the first instance, but the second instance. And so I think that's just one of those things that you'll get better with time.
Guys, I'm gonna try this long here. Just need to call it out. Getting filled at 610. Pretty tight stop on this, so just calling it out. SPX. Go ahead.
Like it.
Cool. Yeah. I just want to add a little color to that. Go trades to your question. I think a lot of people get scared at the execution part because they're sizing too large and they don't have confidence, right?
Sure.
So like what I would recommend in that situation is that you size to a particular, price point that you're comfortable with the outcome at any cost, like almost sizing for zero, right? But ultimately what comes down to is like you following your plan to a T. So you find a size that you're comfortable with and you follow your plan to a T, and you log that in your trade journal if you followed your plan and your rules or not, right? The moment you follow your plans and the result is hopefully profitable, then you're going to gain confidence naturally. And it's okay that a losing trade can be a positive outcome because you followed your plan, right? So just having confidence that you're able to execute and have winning trades, but also execute and take your stops is incredibly important to your journey. So the moment you get comfortable and you get in this routine of following your plan to a T, like naturally you can add more size as time goes on. I've just seen people feel, or they're overcoming a large, subset of losses and they've lost their confidence, right? And this is kind of the way to bounce back. Size down, create your plans and follow your plans to a T, right? Like stick with what you know how to do, like, and don't be, I guess I've seen a lot of traders too try to change their strategies, right? Or add new indicators or do other things. Like stick to what you know and then wait for the setups you perform best in. It's when people start losing or go through a period of losses that they try to change everything. It could just be a few minor changes, or it could be studying your losing trades and finding a pattern and seeing what makes you tick and then making small changes and tweaks, right? Like if you, as a golfer, right, like if you go to take a lesson, the last thing you want to do is try to change your entire swing, right? Like a good instructor will make small adjustments that can improve your game slowly and surely. If you try to change everything at once, you're just going to be in a cycle over and over again of like struggling and shanking the ball or having losing trades. So just kind of one way to look at it is really just size down, follow your plans to a T, and then your confidence will come back.
Yeah, you want to build that positive feedback loop, right?
Yes.
Really can't. Yeah, Matej, maybe we want to talk about the DRC of what you know, I think that is, I mean, that goes into, I really like having a column in my trade journal about, did I follow my plans? Did I follow my rules? And what the outcome was, right? And the DRC kind of builds upon that, that feedback. And maybe you could elaborate, Matej, if you have time or.
Yeah, I just might have to manage a couple things here, but the DRC is a daily report card, which is a templated way to just track what you're doing every day, and it's kind of like a watch list and journal of sorts. I would consider it like the long form. So like you have your data that you put in a database of your trades, how they're performing, and that's just what it is. It's data, but the daily report card is a little bit more long form. Gives you a chance to communicate, like what you're seeing in the trade, and then you are able to go back and see, how you're performing. Say there's areas of your data that are weak or strong. You can then go and refer back to that long form to kind of see what you're thinking. There's a lot to learn from that, but within that process, there's a concept that I created, I just refer to as, I should say, as PDR. It's positive decision rate. And it's just a way to train that positive feedback loop. And all it simply means is I would literally have an Excel sheet that tracks whether or not I made a positive decision on that trade. Did I follow my plan, in other words? And it's a simple yes or no, a tally 1 or 0 in the yes or no, in the no column. And then I would track that as just a ratio. And that really built that muscle of regardless of what happens, is just following your plan, because Edge kind of evolves and markets change, certain setups change. So you might start to find, like, part of this is being disciplined, but I would say objectively a more important piece of the following your plan component isn't just like to be disciplined and be a good trader and feel good about yourself. It's really to create stronger data, because if you aren't following your plan, you're introducing an unknown variable into your data. So your data just becomes skewed, because if you have, 100 trades and 50 of them you didn't follow your plan, you can't really look and trust that data of like, do you have edge or not, right? And again, we're all human, so perfection isn't the goal. Like, that's just unrealistic. But if you can maintain like a 90%, 85% positive decision rate, you can trust your data better, right? Because you at least know at the end of the month, okay, I took, maybe 20, 50 trades, however much you trade, depending on your style. This is the result. It's either making money or it's not making money, right? So if it's not making money and you followed your plan every time, then you can go and look and find where are those adjustments needed. You might just not have edge. You might be a really good, psychology and thinking properly by following your plan. You might have really good risk management. Maybe it's just a bunch of small losses, no big losses, but you're still not making money. The result of that is you don't have edge. Quite simply, it's that easy. Whatever you're doing isn't working, and you don't need to take that personally. A lot of traders take things too personally. So you just then pivot your energy into, okay, well, what is working in the market? What can I study and learn? What kind of setups maybe that I'm not focused on, or what somebody else is having success with, you can learn. And then obviously there's more combinations of ways that can play out. But I think if you're looking to build that muscle, a good way to do that is just have a super simple sheet. That's when you take a trade, at the end of it, did you follow your plan or not? And then start tracking that data. So you kind of become almost like an analyst of your business, your trading business, with that mentality. So that's something that's really helped me over the years.
Thank you, Matej. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. One just like small little call out. We are working on that accelerator program, guys. The mentorship, I know we mentioned it to you guys probably over a month now. We've been working hard on it. It's going to be very special. We're going to do it right. And part of that is the one-on-one component is going to be a lot of what I just kind of riffed on, is working with you on those areas, trying to identify what areas you're struggling with or doing well in the market. Because it's not just about, like whether you're, hold on one sec, guys. My stop is triggering here on SPX. Yeah, I'll get back to that thought. Just giving it. We have some support right here at 35. So giving this just a sec. Okay. Getting filled at 380. So all out SPX. The next spot is 68.15 to take a shot. But I wanted to see if that 43 to be precise is a very key spot. Thought if that could hold, we could go higher. So
It was worth it for sure.
is what it is. So yeah, that's what. So like going back to like mentorship and all of that. One of the areas, like a lot of people just assume like maybe you're not doing well. This is going to be designed for traders that are of any level, whether you're doing well or not so well and you want to do better, because there's a lot of different hurdles depending on where you're at in your journey. Even if you're doing pretty well, there's a lot of what we're going to talk through and go through is in the one-on-one component is how to do even better, meaning a lot of traders will focus on their losses or their L's. And I think one of the biggest shifts for me was changing that mindset and actually focusing more on the winners. The reason being is you focus on your winners and put more energy into that, it's going to get you closer to sizing up, which at the end of the day is really what will move the needle and matter. A lot of people put too much energy into losers instead of winners. If you can understand and unpack why something is working well, it's going to give you the confidence to size up on it and really move the needle. So that's going to be a big focal point of that as well. All right, we are accelerating here quickly. Guys, I'm cutting this IBM small L there. It's getting filled at 77 cents all out. So notice how, like, I don't know what your thoughts are, Space Monkey, but we kind of talk through this, like PLTR, Google, Apple's one that does have relative strength, but even NVIDIA, like we never got that real turn. So like if you're trying to catch the bounce in tech, like this is exactly what we talked about earlier. Trying to catch that left side can just be like this kind of this snowball. It just is way harder versus let's say this ends up trapping, right? Like if PLTR or any of these that have kind of washed the lows start to rip back higher through 184, 185, then that's going to be a much easier long risking against the lows than trying to like catch the knife.
Yeah. I mean, my perspective on where we are right now is that 68.50 was a beautiful pivot. We actually got a back test of it. The reason I thought we could bounce off of the 68.30, 68.40 area, we saw 3 attempts across about 40 minutes or so to push lower and it failed. So
Yeah.
that's why we called it out as a nice risk reward play, because sometimes what happens is that you get that turn. It did not. And so that's just a sign for me that
Yeah.
there's a lot of weakness. I'm also noticing there's a lot of relatively strong names that are becoming very weak or weaker as the day progresses. The breadth, which was really phenomenal early on, just, it's underwater. It's very negative. You have IWM going green to red. You have VIX pushing higher, 18 now, up 4%. I think it was a red to green move. And so, as I said earlier, the internals were just not really great. More hands off for me. I definitely don't want to short here. I think the right short was 50.
Yeah.
If you liked it.
Yeah, good review. Google is about to test -1 ATR. Volume is actually building pretty quickly into this flush. These could be reversal points, and if not, then it could obviously get pretty messy. But
MBIS went to -1. Space Monkey pretty much. Wow, what a
I
sell.
think, okay, so
Yeah.
95. I exited, so I haven't been paying attention, but yeah. I have a 9087, almost 91 as next support, and we got close, but -1 makes sense to me that we're bouncing off of it here. Microsoft tested 501, 500 area again.
You don't like to see those types of round trips, right? With like names like
No.
Microsoft, it just kind of makes you hands off tech for sure. Seeing
Right.
some relative strength yesterday, and then they give it all back. You just don't like to see that.
Guys, they're trapping that
let's-
35 here, and this could still play out, but I'm not
nice
going to
bounce.
overtrade it. Yeah, just followed my plan is what it is. If it ends up bouncing, great. But under 30 is an accelerant to that 15 I was talking about. So it definitely can speed up under that, but maybe just got a little trap there.
That was a nasty trap. But you're seeing a lot of like Nvidia just dipped below and recovered the 20-day. You have QQQ doing something similar. IWM bouncing off the 50-day moving average. There's a lot of support here, so let's see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yep. Google -1 ATR right here. This could be that start where they try to put in that mid end of day tech rebound, but we don't need to guess. It'll set up entries later.
Very narrow market right now.
Yeah.
To the upside, at least.
I think I was just a tad early on that.
That's a hammer bar right there. Beautiful. If you look on the daily SPX, this 44 area, which you called out, is important because it was the day
Yeah.
low from that second gap up a couple weeks ago.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm watching. As a that's why I was thinking it could get that dip at. I'm just trying to share my screen. The dip under it to 68.40 when we kind of swept under it and then reclaimed it. That to me, that felt like enough to try the long, and knowing that 35 was supportive, but.
Yeah. Not loving Microsoft breaking 500 here,
Oh wow, that's nasty.
extending to the downside. Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
candles are getting bigger. It's just like such a disconnect across the board. It's hard to get a feel for things. Like you have
Yeah.
Netflix and Apple near the high, or holding strongly near higher, and then you have Microsoft doing what it's doing.
Right.
I'm interested in going long soon. I think kind of similar trade, but
Yeah, I mean I think over 30 there's a shot for sure with tighter stops. If not, that 15 that could be that overextension bounce spot too. What time is it? 11:19. Yeah. And Netflix still just at the highs too. That's pretty interesting.
yeah.
Nice strength. So this is what I was looking for. This between 50 and 55 is like nothing. A little bit of selling pressure at 45, which is also that key level. It's not very big. It's minor. But often you'll get, even though the short setup is there, you'll get the back test of the puller, which is like 65. And you also have charm flip line there as well. So that's another component of this. If we do hold 30, wouldn't be surprising to see that back test in which, those calls would have paid. If we get back over it, that's a different long as well. So we need to watch like 60, 70. That could get really interesting in a day if we end up recovering.
Yeah. So what I would say is the 9 on 10 on SPX is around that 46 or so.
Okay.
So it's starting to look like a downtrend day. And so that 9 on 10 usually is a good spot to go short. So if it does pop into that 45, which is that level we talked about, it could be an entry lower if it does not recover. So I think we're saying the same thing. It's just slightly different kind of take on it.
Yep.
And
Same
to add to that
area.
45 area, that's your red to green spot is what, 46 or so. So just kind of
Yeah.
if it lines up with that, that's even a bigger rejection spot or a bigger area to reclaim.
Yep. I'm going to step away for just a sec, but I'll keep the stream running.
68.60. My stop is pretty tight. It's below 36. Probably into the 9 on 10. I'll take some off there around 46. If you could get 4 more points, I'll take some off. Probably selling half there. You guys can hear me, right? Just double checking that you guys can hear me. Cool. Thanks, guys. So a smaller bet on this perhaps being a slight bottom. Potential push to 68, 46, 50 above. Take some off. Give yourself a little padding. See a nice kind of recovery in AMD here, back above the 9 on 10. So that's 259. 261 triggers. We can see higher day and then all-time highs. You have VIX coming off the highs as well. 18 was rejected, pushing lower. ADD, so the breadth still is not the best here, but some of the internal signs here are looking up a bit here. So I'll likely take some off here soon into this pop if I can get my fill here soon. That's the critical 44, 45 level. Microsoft holding 500. Just got filled there, half out, guys. Nice little scalp. 9 on 10, check back. I know that was fast, but hopefully I gave you some heads up on that. Now what I would like to see, this check back needs to hold, and then we need to break back above 45. Break above 45, we can see 50. AMD back above the 9 on 10. Apple pushing higher. Netflix pushing PM highs as well. You're starting to see a little bit of a carve out in the bottom, sorry, of NQ here, off the 20-day moving average. Possible 621.12 backtest above. Premium holding up really nicely. Yes, only limit orders. Only limit orders. I gave you a heads up that I'm out if I get filled, right, Chaz? And so I had mine at 6 already there. So just kind of a heads up, all right? Thank you, Chess. There you go. As I said, looking pretty good here. 6850, want to take some more. Premium is not the best as we're approaching this 50 area. AMD, look at that turn, guys. Relative strength coming back into AMD. Right, above 261, we can see 264, 5 plus, eventually all-time highs. Tick is going positive, VIX off the highs. Nice MP, nice catching that 50. And I exited here, guys. Exited some more here. 1/4 out. Just got filled. 1/4 out. Just got filled here. Let's go. Let's go. 68.50. I'll hold a fourth for a potential squeeze higher. That's the worst spot to go short here, guys. Netflix highs. JM caught that long as well, did he?
Yes, sir. A
Ah,
little bit after you.
oh, it's okay, JM. You can do that. You wanted the extra confirmation, right?
I doubled my
I am
size.
fucking joking. Oh, excuse my language. I am not very professional right now. Sorry, guys. I usually don't curse on live.
Yeah, like you said, I think it's a trade. I think it's a chance at a bottom, and you
Okay.
know, it may not be, but you gotta try it and try to have a position on the chance. There's some areas overhead that are going to be tough.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I went into it just as like a scout, pretty much. Like I had a feeling maybe we'll get the 50 back test, so that's why I wanted to take most of my profit into that, and then see what happens. So well done, JM. I actually did not know that you were, but I'm happy that you did.
Thank
It's
you. Yep,
exciting,
I
guys. Live
just
catching
got back
trades
to
with
my
JM.
desk actually, with a little
Okay.
scrambled.
Boy. XLV is just
I don't think anybody's sharing their charts. Space Monkey, if you wanted to add that
what chart? My desktop?
into Discord, no one's sharing any charts.
Oh, because Matei left, so that's what happened, I guess. But
How dare
all
he?
right. How dare he? No, he said that he was gonna leave. I just didn't know that the chart wasn't being shared. But here we go. Um, actually gonna take a break. I will hold that 1/4. I'm just gonna go take a walk. But let's see what happens here. I think we got a pretty good entry. Let's see if we could push higher. But I'm taking a little break. But you guys can look at my desktop if you'd like.
Hey guys, anybody home?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, what's up? We got Netflix Go.
Nice. You want to share again what you have? You have your runners next week, 1200 roll up. But for anyone who's listening in, how you took the initial trade and how you positioned yourself for the continuation.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. So let me see where these 1100s are, or 1200s are. Pop the screen back on. Okay. Yeah, so we rolled, the 1200s are up about 30%, so obviously a little bit out of the money. Those 1150s we had yesterday, let's just check in on that. So this week we traded 1130s and 1150s. 1150s are at 11. 1130s at 24, obviously in the money. Yeah, so I talked about it earlier, but maybe there's some people that didn't hear. Make my screen a little bit bigger. So Netflix, we just went into the week with a pretty straightforward thesis on the 10-for-1 split coming up. But the thing that stood out that I liked a lot about the setup going into the week technically was the way that it bottomed off of 1080 and then closed on Friday above 1100. And this is something where, from a technical perspective, even if you go out to the weekly, a little easier to see here. It's basically just flagging of a flag of sorts. On the weekly, it's just kind of in this channel. And last week we ended up trapping the bottom part of that trend line. And important context here, just kind of like understanding where the pain is in a trade. The stock had failed to go lower several times. So even though this looked pretty nasty, consolidated a bit, failed to go higher. Big down day on Monday the 3rd. But ultimately could not get that follow through to the downside and trapped this 1080 spot multiple times. And then on subsequent dips, actually held just above it really, really nicely. And then on Friday closed above 1100. So that, big picture context aligned with the narrative is what is key going into this week. So the narrative being the 10-for-1 split coming up, right? So that is an important component, right? Technical trades, obviously, can be good regardless. But when you have a strong narrative backing it, that just adds fuel to the conviction in the trade. So on Netflix, basically, we opened up the week looking for an opportunity to get long on the move above 1100. So we end up gapping just over 1100. It's hard to tell with this time frame here, but this wick lower on the 1 and 2 minute, like real quick off the open, we kind of swept the pre-market low and then turned higher. We aggressively bought the 1130 call on that turn and break, just because the risk reward off of that 1100 was so good, and paired with our thesis, all those things connected. Then we look to roll up to the 1150 calls, which I don't exactly remember where that was added on this day, but we actually had separately, I think my entry was around here for that roll up for the 1150. But I do remember, just in review, we had this bullish divergence set up into the close, which was a really nice bounce. That was just a call out, but we already had the 1150 at that point. And then, you're just kind of seeing this defend really well on dip. So big move up, gets bought up into the close on day 1, day 2. You have the same kind of sweep below the pre-market structure, and then a really nice push up until 1134, which we called out as a really key resistance, which ultimately rejected, and then set up into the end of the day yesterday with another strong close. So when you're seeing, and this is also why this was really good selection today. Like, you could have day traded this today. I called it out off the turn of 1130, didn't trade it, but probably could have. Just that's an improvement, I would say. Being already positioned for this move led me to kind of focus on other areas. But I think, objectively sticking with a leader that you're, already racking profits up in is not a bad idea, right? So going into today after yesterday's strong close and yet another dip holding, right? So big move up, dip, held, big move up, dip, held, and closed strong both times. That's a very good indication of follow through. So today, this is, where you have a thesis, but then you want to ask yourself, okay, thesis is just one thing, but you want to ask yourself, where do you want to get involved? And that's what we call a signal. So the signal today would have been, we dipped below this 1134 and recovered, which is where you heard me call out the reclaim of 1134, like on that turn. So it's a first move down, turn. And even if you don't catch the turn, you can see it actually backtest twice. If I zoom in a little bit more, backtest twice at 1134 and then, continue to push higher. So really textbook. This is like exactly what a give and go looks like from our playbook, even though it's not off of a direct catalyst, same exact pattern and structure. So now we're pushing out to new highs here. So that's pretty much everything. If you have some questions, let me know. And now we're holding next week's 1200 calls just as a swing. All right, just catching up with the rest of the market. Probably going to wrap up the public call here, guys, soon. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I'm just going to do a quick round robin through all the names that we're watching to give a final update for everyone live. For members in the Discord, we'll be live all day. Space Monkey is going to be back in a little bit, probably an hour or so. And I have some things I have to work on here in the background. So let's just do a quick scan through. So S&P is actually holding that 30 spot. I was surprised it didn't sell down to that 15 after failing the first turn. So had kind of the right idea. I know J Money and Space Monkey ended up catching some nice profit on this turn. Not a whole lot of follow through. If I just go to our gamma profile, we're still in the suppressive charm and negative gamma, which makes it just a little harder to go higher. You can tell buyers are definitely fighting though around this 44 key level. That 44 key level is that prior, if I just clean this up here, this prior high, what date was that? The 24th of October. This was I'm sorry, wait, where are we at? Oh yeah, here, the 27th of October, that low is what we're back testing today and kind of tried to reclaim yesterday. So it's a sticky spot. And but overall, this profile makes it a little bit harder for buyers to really get any kind of real follow through. Now, what can happen when you have a setup like this in negative gamma, which just means that there can be a little bit more volatility as they're moving with the price rather than hedging against it, is if you get up to this flip line into supportive charm, that combination can be a squeeze combo into the close. So we have this, methodical chop all day, a little hesitation to follow through and trend lower. We still have some relative strength out there in names like Netflix, Eli Lilly, Google's bouncing off the low. So if we get this tech bounce into the end of the day and you see this flip back over like 65, 70, that would be quite an interesting end of day scenario. Now, a lot of times it will test a few times before it actually clears. So just, set an alert at 70, 65, 70. So it's definitely some selling pressure before we get there. So I would not, try to rush that type of trade, because if you get through it, it's pretty much the skies are open for a push into 80 to 6,900. So especially if you're trading 0 DTEs, obviously you're fighting theta. So I think just wait for the signal on that. So that's S&P overview. Let me just run through a couple names here, see what's going on. Tesla lower, pretty disappointing move in that. Eli Lilly looking good. A little bit slower now, but it's holding up okay. Netflix obviously fantastic, looking great. Let's double check in on our ATR here for Netflix. 1165. So if we get up to 1165, I have a level at 5760 as well. Might take profit on that swing and then just look for another entry. Google, really nice a respect of the -1 ATR 283.68, which we called out before I took a little break there. Holding so far, not a overly impressive bounce, but it did hold. And I would look to this as a leader within tech, this and PLTR as, and even NVIDIA, kind of keep an eye on these to if they start to hold dips and turn the corner for that late day bounce in the market. If not, if tech stays weak and S&P starts to crack 30, I think we'll drop another 15, 20 points. Speaking of PLTR, also -1 ATR. So these are just getting sold into their ranges, guys. They're just making it's rotation, making it harder to trade those. NBIS holding -1 ATR. Great trade from Space Monkey today on that. Meta's an interesting one. I would say it's more nuanced. It's a bit weaker. So typically I don't like to focus on the weaker names. And for this reason, they often, have trouble turning the corner. That being said, the market's doing, just fine right now. And if we end up pushing towards 6,900, Meta will likely at least have a snapback to 650, 650 plus. And I think that's tradable. Right here, again, probability, probably lower, but the risk reward is super good against that 600 level. So that could be an interesting one. Timing probably, as we've been saying all week, a little bit trickier on this one, as you can see, but it won't surprise me to see this kind of snap back. So maybe a couple weeks out type of trade. Uber rejected that call out from earlier. We called out 95, rejected 95, it needs above. And NVIDIA under 191 can sell off. Over 195.62 is a big reclaim. AMD, let's see if we have some bullish intraday divergence on this. And we do. Okay, so this is a really good intraday setup if it reclaims 259.65. Ideally, the market's also pushing higher and tech's trying to recover. But basically what you have is on the 15-minute intraday, you see the dip here down to 256.30. And RSI got to 51. We're dipping now above that level. So we're actually dipping at 257 and change, which is higher than this dip here, and the RSI is actually lower, so it's more oversold higher where the price is, which is a hidden divergence. So what that basically means, it doesn't predict what's going to happen next, but it tells you that if price does resume its trend higher, the energy is available for that to push, and it's just a very good way to kind of pick up intraday setups if you're unsure whether or not something might be a little bit too hot or it's up too much. This is basically telling you if this starts to turn higher, getting back to the highs is not going to be a challenge for AMD today. All right, just going to flip through a couple more names and then we'll wrap up. Gold, super impressive. This will add to our daily market recap. Really nice move today. Don't see an entry. So this is an example of I don't see an entry, right? It's just super hot. Would need to set up something. Let me just run through some of these bigger names. Apple, nice relative strength all day in Apple. Eli Lilly popping up here, just got a price notification. Meta, I like the risk reward here. Again, it's nuanced, but I like the idea of like a size to zero swing, like 650 calls or something like that. Netflix is just awesome. So rotation day, guys. Rotation. If you're not aligned with the right names, you are probably having a tough day. If that's you, just don't overtrade and let things set up. If you are aligned with, strength, Netflix, or weakness, something like NBIS or PLTR, good job. Make sure you protect your profits. Big picture on the market, we're holding up fine for now. So if you guys enjoyed the live stream, let us know. We appreciate any comments, engagement on that. We do this, just so you all know, we do this every single day. At least most of all of us are on stream every single day. And if not, someone's always going to be there. So thanks and have a great rest of your day. See you guys.